Welcome to the Viral Brand Masterclass. I just want to take a quick moment and say thank you for carving time out of your very busy schedule. I would imagine that most of you probably have families, and I know that for me, it took time tonight to get everybody ready and off to bed and lined up so I could be here. So thank you for carving time out of your busy night to be here. But if you're here, it tells me that you are somebody who is so passionate, and you want to launch a business of some kind. And probably for a really long time, you've had some type of dream on your heart to create something super special and intentional for not only yourself, but for your family. So tonight, I want this to be a time and place where you can grab your notepad and you can start to document some things that I believe are going to be transformative for your life and for your family's life. I want you to get comfortable because this webinar is going to be a little different maybe than other webinars that you've been to in the past. So I feel like there's so many master classes on the internet and people are sharing things, but they never quite get into the details. And I thought long and hard about what I wanted to share with you tonight. And I wanted it to be something tangible, something that you could walk away with tonight to know how to grow your audience if you're interested in launching an online business. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get into some specific details that you can take from this masterclass that you can apply directly to your current Instagram account or to the Instagram account that you're going to launch right after this course. So I hope that you enjoy. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Okay, so I would imagine that there's some of you here that do know me, and thank you so much for following along on my journey. For the past several years, I have been coaching, I have been showing up online. Thank you for following along. But I think for most of you, you don't know me. You don't know me at all because for the past 60 to 90 days, I've had a transformation happen on my Instagram account. And so for most of you, you're just getting to know who I am. You're just getting to know my family and my babies that you see on the screen right here. I share a lot of parts of my life, but I don't often share the backstory too often. So tonight, I want you to know that I am a mother, just like you. I balance a lot of things. I'm a corporate mom, and I have a shed that I transformed and turned into my office so I could work from home. And during the pandemic, I had two babies, and my life changed forever. Much like most of you, when you have a baby, nothing ever goes back to the way it was. But one thing I realized was that I was never going to be able to be home with my children and be intentional with my children on the path that I was on in my corporate sector. I was leading large teams. I was managing contracts. I was driving 2 hours a day just to and from. So 4 hours total in a car. And I knew that if I really wanted to be there for the important moments for my children, I just wouldn't be able to I wouldn't be able to be intentional the way I wanted to be. And so with that, I decided to pitch a job opportunity to my current company to run all of their corporate communications, marketing, and PR right here from my work shed. And that's what I did. And so I started to understand what building a career from home was going to do for me. I saw that I wasn't missing anything. I was able to eat breakfast with my kids. I was home at a great time where we could spend hours in the evening, not just an hour right before bedtime. And it just felt so right to me. And I thought to myself, my goodness, there's so many mothers out there that would love to be in my situation. What can I do to help them have this same experience? And so I had been coaching prior to having children. I did have my coaching business. If I've worked with you before, thank you so much for working with me. And I love watching all of your growth. But what I realized was that working my coaching business in the current format that it was in and model was not going to be beneficial for my family. I was spending a ton of time when I would get a client, which I'd be super excited about, but it would take so much of my time up that it just wasn't conducive anymore. So I started seeing a lot of things on the internet, much like probably most of you, where women were automating their businesses. They were changing the way that they were capturing their knowledge and expertise to deliver to the masses. And I thought, wow, that's how you build a career from home. That's how it's done. And so I went in deep. I went to work and I started sharing this new type of content that would help connect people with what it meant to build an online business. But there was a problem. And the problem was that nobody was watching anything I was posting. No one was liking anything, no one was sharing. And so I realized very quickly that something had to change. So I decided to sit down with myself and do the same strategy that I do with all of my clients. And I did a blueprint for myself, a brand blueprint. I sat down with my little book that I have, and I went through all the exercises that I take my clients through. And I hadn't done it in some time. I thought to myself, oh, I know my message. I know who I'm talking to. But the truth was, I didn't. I was so disconnected from where I needed to be. And my strategies were actually incredibly outdated, and they were so vanilla. And really, I had to make a complete shift. So I thought, okay, how can we do this? Let's like break this down in a linear fashion. And I had to go to work again. So I decided to start studying virality, and I studied. Boy, did I study. I spent hours and hours. My kids would go to bed, and here I am scrolling, but scrolling with intention on my phone. And I would look at, okay, this post went viral, but why did it go viral? It has the same audio, but why did this one go viral and this one didn't? Okay. And I started like making a giant list of all the things that I found to be the elements of a viral post. And then I took my blueprint and I decided to start marrying the two together, start building concepts. And then I got the courage to change my Instagram handle. And I decided to rebrand myself to the Millionaire Homemaker. And I think for a lot of people, they see that and think, what in the world does that even mean? And so I had this dream that, we could not only build careers from home, but we can be the center of our children's universe when they are little. We can actually create a concept of homemaking that incorporates the children, incorporates career, and it all kind of works harmoniously together. And so I conceptualized what is now the Millionaire Homemaker, this concept of building wealth from home. And I relaunched the page. And with that, I did my first post, and it went viral. And 90 days later, more like 60 is when it really started to blow up. But today I have 170,000 followers, 19.5 million accounts reached, and 1.2 million accounts engaged with. And so I knew that everything that I had documented on my little sheet of paper, it meant something. It meant a whole lot of something. I knew that it was something that could help other women build the career from home, because the virality component is going to help get the eyeballs on you needed and required to serve to the masses and sell at a massive scale. So a lot of coaches will tell you that you can have a small audience. You can have a small audience and you can sell. And you can. I did it for years. But the truth is, if you really want to be able to build a business that is sizable income, you have to go for volume. You have to get eyeballs on you. You have to build an iconic brand. And so that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to share with you what I did between the first day that I relaunched rather, to the Millionaire Homemaker, to 90 days later. What did I do in between to grow the account? Because it wasn't just by chance. It was on purpose. And so it's not luck, and that's what you're really going to learn tonight. But what I want to stress here is that before I could begin really incorporating some of these strategies, I had to make one vital shift in the way I thought about who I was at a brand and how I was communicating with my audience. And I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that online coaches make and or online businesses, online personalities, your online brand makes when you're trying to sell a digital product, a physical product, or service of some kind. And so when I made the shift, I switched from sharing what I do to why I do what I do. Shifted from what I do to why I do what I do. And this is by Simon Sinek. If you've ever listened to this TED Talk, please go look it up on YouTube. It'll blow your mind. But it was the one thing that popped into my head when I started researching all of these accounts, is that I had to make this shift in my content. And so what does that even mean? Well, it means we have to start with why, because people aren't buying the what, they're buying the why, the heart behind your brand. So as you go through the next couple slides here and we talk about what these steps are to virality, I want you to be asking yourself, why do you do what you do? Why does it matter to people? Not what is the technology, not what is the product, but why? What is the transformation that's happening for your customers? And so when I made this shift, I realized that I could do it over and over and over again once I started following some of these steps that I'm going to share with you. I promise. I promise I'm going to get to them. And so this one here, this is all the insights from some of my posts that have gone viral. You can see here, this was my first one that I launched with the Millionaire Homemaker new name, and it went to 1.2 million, but 20,000 people shared it with other people. And that blew my mind. I couldn't even like get 1,000 views on something. That was like a good post of 1,000 views and maybe a share, probably no shares, but that just blew my mind. And so you can see here that there is a pattern. And the biggest thing you'll see is the shareability. So if you can follow these steps, you will see that to grow the account, it's going to come down to who is talking about your brand when you're not talking about your brand. You want walking, talking billboards for your brand at all times. And this little share icon right here, 20,000, 14,000, it matters. So as I started posting, this was the second one that went viral on my account. You can see 1.5 million, 14,000 shares. But then something really special happened, and this supercharged my account. Because again, it doesn't matter if you go viral once. If you go viral once, great. It's probably not going to do anything for your account. Maybe some growth, but not explosive growth. Then I had like the megalodon, okay, of viral posts, and I had a 5.6 million play on one of my posts, and it had 20,000 saves and 147,000 shares. Okay, so I knew that I was definitely on to something. So you can see I did it over and over and over and over again. And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight. How can you make this happen? And it's going to start with the shift of what you do, starting with there, what is it? But then making the shift consciously to why you do what you do. And all those posts that you just saw had that in common. It got to the place of effective storytelling. So I could figure out the components that would transform my customer's life and not only transform their life, but tap into the psyche of who they are, what they care about. I'm talking the major details of a client avatar, what they eat for breakfast, how they spend their extra time, what are they looking at on social media? Yes, but also, how do they take care of themselves? Who do they hang out with? Who are their friends? All kinds of things, really going in deep, because then it gives me information about their fears, their challenges, their goals, tapping into the psychological part of building a brand that's actually impactful. And again, highly shareable. And so today we're going to talk about that brand story. This is the foundation and essence you need to understand before you tap into some of these steps. Whoops. There we go. To some of these steps. And we're going to go into modern online content strategy. Okay, so if you are a direct sales a direct sales type of business, please listen carefully because I'm going to flip everything that you know on its head. Direct messaging people out of the blue, cold messaging. For me, that wasn't something I wanted to do ever. I've done it and it's hard. So we're going to tap into what modern online content strategy looks like. So you don't have to get those very, very annoying hey girl messages because let's just be honest. Nobody cares and nobody responds to them. So we want to work at this in a different way. It's attraction-based marketing, yes, but in a way that we're going to hack the system so you can actually create something that people care about. We're gonna structure the content so it actually reaches the masses because not only can you figure out, okay, what do people want to hear about, but then you have to structure it in a certain way so the algorithm understands who to push it out to. And then lastly, I want to talk to you about artificial intelligence. So AI is a hot topic in our world right now, obviously, but the more important thing to note for your business is how can we supercharge what you're already doing? How can we make what you're doing easier? And how can we use it to hack your messaging so you can be a guru in your niche? And that's really the main essence of what we're going to go through tonight. Okay, so before we dive in to the next part, which is my 4 steps that I want you to take detailed notes on, we want you to think about what you need to establish before you can actually implement a viral strategy. You need to make sure that you have some of these core elements in place. And if you don't have them in place, unfortunately, the virality piece will fall short for you. You might be able to get something to go viral, but if you don't have the foundation to support the virality, number one, you're not going to earn. And number two, it's going to be short fulfilled because people will start to drop off. It won't be something where you can accumulate momentum over and over again because it's one thing to go viral once, but can you do it again and again and again and again, right? Okay, so your niche and sub-niche topics. When you're developing your brand, it is so important that you understand what that is. And I think a lot of coaches in the past year, and especially some of the guidance that I had been given personally was, okay, you have to pick your niche. And we talk about this a lot online, but it's not just your niche, okay? We have to get to the heart and soul of what you want to say. And I think that was one of the main problems for myself when I kind of reinvigorated how I wanted to share online business and how I wanted to do my coaching. I wanted it to be automated, all those things. But I wasn't talking, again, it was the what, right? The technology and the automation. People don't care about that. I had to get to the heart and soul of my niche. And that's where I came up with this wealth from home concept. That is my niche. And there's a ton of sub niches. What are some of the things I talk about? I talk about relationships on my account because that's true wealth from home. I talk about business, of course, that's definitely an element, but personal development as well, because that is wealth, growing ourselves. And then I talk a lot about engagement, like with our kids and how to streamline the home, because that is a core element to wealth from home. So tons of sub niches, not tons, but a few key, excuse me, and sub niches to support my greater overarching niche. All right, target audience. Super, super important. So your target audience, your ideal customers and their avatars. Why does this matter? If you don't have this established, then some of the AI pieces that I'm going to talk to you about, you're not going to be able to plug in the right information so AI can better assist you in kicking out something that will help the virality piece. So that is super important. And then minimal viable product, MVP. What's an MVP? So I am in the world of digital marketing. I like to create a career from home in the sense that I don't have to necessarily trade my time for money to earn. A lot of people call this passive income. I don't think it's truly passive, but there is a huge element to it being passive in that we can take your knowledge, capture it, right? And then we can create a product that helps to support what you're doing. So very, very important. This can be all sorts of things. I won't get into the details, but many ways to create that MVP and many ways to create a digital component to your business, even if you are in person. And then of course, we supercharge it with the AI and automations. So all of this has to be in place. I just want to stress that if you're going to start to incorporate the virality piece, because then it all connected. It's like an ecosystem. Okay, so this is my viral framework. This is near and dear to my heart. I thought a lot about wanting to share this, and I had kind of a battle in my head. Was I giving away too much, or is this too much for a 60-minute webinar? So I've tried to condense it as much as I can into something that's not going to overwhelm you too much, but something that helps you to, I think, immediately begin taking actions once you're done the call today, which was the whole point of this masterclass. So my first step that I take is research. It's probably one of the most important steps that I take when building out my content. Success, it leaves breadcrumbs. What does that even mean? It means that there's patterns for success online. And what I started noticing is that there were themes that kept happening over and over and over again in content that would go viral. And I thought, well, that's definitely not by mistake, right? So it's not magic. There's a strategy, there's specific things. So how do we do research? What does that really mean? Well, when you identify the keywords that are used for your niche and sub niches or subtopics rather, you can start to plug them in to Instagram. Okay, you can plug them into the reel section, and it starts to populate all of the reels related to that topic, right? But then you have to start doing some analysis work. You have to say, okay, well, I like this reel. And this is where a lot of people they make a mistake. They look at the reel and say, "Oh, I love that reel. That makes me laugh. I think people are going to love that because I think it's funny." Or, "Oh my gosh, that really got to my emotions. I think that, I should share that out." And although it feels good and it comes from a good place, I promise you the proof's in the pudding. So, look at the reels that pop up, and I want you to start looking at their performance. Are they performing well? So, what are the performance metrics? We're looking at total views, we're looking at shares, and I think that this is probably one of the greatest metrics you can look at because, hey, did other people want to send it to other people? Because what do we want people to do for our brand? We want them to reshare what we're selling all day, every day while we sleep so we can earn passively, right? So that's very important. And then the comments, like, is there engagement on this post? So you want to take a pen and paper and start kind of writing out your sub niches, looking up maybe even accounts that you love can be another great way. Accounts that have a similar niche to you, so you can kind of get into this mode of researching. That's important to do. I love using the search function though inside of Reels because that kind of like opens up my world of what's possible, what's out there. And then you can see when you pull it up immediately, you can start to see the number of views. And that's probably the first metric that I tap into to see. And then I start, going a little bit deeper. And then what you want to do is you want to save all of these posts. So Instagram allows you to save posts. I'm sure you have a ton. If you're not saving posts, you're definitely sending them to your significant other. I feel like it's like a way that we silently communicate. And we don't actually respond to the other person's reels, but we're definitely sending them back and forth. So it's like this communication stream. But in addition to that, we're also saving things. So sending and saving. So I want you to save the ones that are performing well in your niche that also are attractive to you, but not just what you like, what's doing well, okay? And a little pro tip here, 500,000 views or more. I mean, that's a bare minimum for sure. People like to reshare things with low views, and it's foolish because, again, success leaves breadcrumbs. Okay, so after we do this, we have to analyze these breadcrumbs. We got to dissect why the heck did that post that I saved go viral. So this is where that pad of paper is really going to come in handy. So I use a template. I have a specific template for doing the research, doing the analyzation, and then doing the content planning and creation. So basically I can batch 2 weeks worth of content. I post twice a day. For all of my content creation. So that's my batching method, and I have templates that I use. So make your own templates up that work for you, and get to going on dissecting what this is and start writing down what we're going to talk about. So number one, on-screen hook. A lot of people talk about hooks. They are probably the most important thing you want to have in your reel. I can tell you today, because I'm so immersed in this world of virality right now, but if I look at a reel, I can tell you within a couple seconds if it's going to go well or perform well. And most of the time it's because if it's not going to perform well, it's because there's no hook. People just put a video up there, and if they do have a hook, it's a really terrible one. We'll get into some of the things that you can do to create a good hook, but that's going to be important. Does it have a visual component to it? So when you look at this video that went viral or had really good performance, did it have a visual component? Was there something interesting happening on the screen that made it go viral? Because if you think about it, like maybe that viral post, maybe you can't really recreate that specific visual because something insane happened, or maybe you can recreate something that would be in more of like your brand voice, but again, still visually appealing. And then when you think about the audio, was the audio really effective for whatever reason? Was it an audio sharing tips? You know, was it an audio that was trending? So take a look at that. And then we want to caption the tone of the caption. We want to make sure that we're understanding what's happening in there. Did they just put a couple words, or did they actually like write a whole, you know, message out inside of the caption there that was chock full of great goodies? You know, what was in there? Did they have a CTA, a call to action? And did you see a ton of comments because of that CTA? Was that one of the reasons why it went, you know, viral? We want to identify what are those things. There could be some outliers, some miscellaneous things. Note all those things inside of your template, inside of your notepad, and make those clear to you, so we can then do this next part. Pro tip I have down here is just use a repeatable template to document your notes in each of the sections listed, because this is going to be really critical for the streamlining process, which we kind of already talked about. Okay, the next piece here, which I love, and this is fun, reverse engineer the success. So you researched, you analyzed the breadcrumbs, okay, of success, like what were the things that made it go viral, you dissected it, you made your notes, and now it's time for you to recreate the concept of this reel in your brand voice. Okay, we are not reinventing the wheel of success. That would be stupid. In successful businesses all over the world, we reinvigorate things, but we don't necessarily reinvent the wheel if it's working, right? If it's working really, really well, we just improve it. And so that's what we're going to do here. We look at the post, we see the breadcrumbs, why it did well, and then we completely reframe it in our brand voice, our authenticity, and give it some new goodies with all of these things we talked about in the previous section. And I'm going to go through each slide so you'll see, to just supercharge it. All right, so you have to have an on-screen hook. And so what I'm going to tell you is that you want to have an on-screen hook for at least 3 seconds. I personally recommend the entire reel. If you look at any of my posts that have gone viral, you need to have it on the entire time. It's just, I don't know what it is. Well, I do know. It's because people lose, they lose interest. And if they're scrolling, you have to stop their scroll. But if the hook is saying, oh, but you should wait a couple seconds because you're going to learn X, Y, Z, or, you know, wait to the end because this is happening, right? They're going to continue to watch and watch, maybe more than once, to really get the full picture. And then they might read your caption and you're still racking up views, right? So at least 3 seconds, I recommend the entire reel. You need to address sometimes like the so what factor. Why do people care? A lot of times people put a very vague hook that is very meaningful to them, but why does your audience care? Like, what is in it for them? What is the value proposition of that particular reel? And piquing curiosity is one of the things that has done just wonders on my page. If I make people super curious about what I'm sharing in my caption, oftentimes it does better than when I'm giving it away on screen. So I did one yesterday and it performed beautifully. And then today I did one and it didn't do so well. And I gave kind of the farm away in the post and they didn't pique the curiosity to get into the caption, right? So you have to play around with what works best for your audience, because you have to remember you are building your audience. I can guarantee you everybody on this call tonight, you're all very similar. If we all got in a room, I bet you we'd have a great party because you're all probably super similar. We have a lot of similar interests. We probably are excited by similar things. That is on purpose because the page is curated that way to attract a specific kind of individual to the party. Does that make sense? All right. If then statements, those are great. If this happens, then this will happen, right? And so people become curious by those. Bold or controversial. Okay. If you are brave enough and you have enough courage, this one is gold, okay? If you can identify the strong opinions of your brand, and this is something you can do inside of what I like to call, my blueprint. That's what I do with myself and my clients, where we identify, what are the things we are super passionate about on this page. And if you can find the controversial layer, or knowing that if you take a strong stance on this view, there is going to be opposition, it's going to perform beautifully on social media. Now, I caution you with this only because emotionally it can be a little hard to take some of the comments. When I first started posting, I knew this strategy was working, so I went pretty hard with it, and it was great for the algorithm, and people were being added to my page like wildfire. But the comments were really hard to take. Some of them were rude, and then some of them, there's a lot of arguments happening on my page. Actually, there's arguments happening on my page all day, every day. Because when you start to reach the masses, that happens. And if it's a controversial topic, but great for the algorithm. So if you can just frame your mind and wire your brain to realize this page is for all, and this is going to happen, and try to create a little bit of a disconnect, totally recommend. A provocative question is great too. One thing that I use in my hooks, and it works like a charm, is calling out that target audience right away. I often will say, this is for six-figure, entrepreneurs, or six-figure mothers, or six-figure mothers building careers from home. Like, I always call out who I want to see it, or who, it might not even be someone that actually fits in that category, but it's someone who desires to be in that category, if that makes sense. So we always want to talk to our target audience. We want to promise unexpected results. So that's kind of them waiting to the end, and really appeal to the emotions via humor or struggle. So humor is awesome. Honestly, I think sometimes humor is one of the best ways to create a viral page, because people want to feel good. And while they can emotionally connect, if they can emotionally connect to it and also laugh, that's like the real winner, winner, chicken dinner. So if you can incorporate these types of elements into your hooks, you're going to be in a really good place to keep the attention span of your consumer, right? Consumer of the media. All right, so as we continue to reverse engineer the post, we then have to go into the next piece, an element of a viral post, which is a visually appealing content of some sort. Let me explain, because for those of you on the call, you're probably very busy, you probably are mothers, or you have a family, or you just have a lot going on. So what I like to do is I like to just capture life B-roll as it happens. I don't know what I'm going to use it for. A lot of times, as something exciting happens, like what you see on the right-hand side here, it's my husband, and he is flipping a pizza pie up into the air. I don't know. I thought maybe he was going to drop it on his head, so I thought, oh, let me film this. I had no idea what was going to happen. But the point was, I captured it in real time. And then what I immediately do after I take B-roll of my life is I save it to a folder in my phone, and I call it B-roll. And this is critical to the content creation process, because then I don't have to guess where I'm grabbing my B-roll from. And if you don't know what B-roll is like clips of things happening. It's like it's like video footage of your life, right? Life B-roll. It's what I like to call it. So this reel did great, 845,000 views. That was way back in October. So that was kind of the beginning of my journey here, and it did go viral. It's great. It's great. Not mega viral, not megalodon viral, but viral. So component to the visual, use movement. So movement is great for doing something interesting. A lot of people will kind of like do their makeup or their hair, which I think is fine, but I think you can do better things. I think that's kind of a little bit tired. But you can also clip together B-roll pieces, string it together, and every like 1 to 2 seconds, you're changing. Why is that important? Because it really helps to keep the attention of your audience. They're really wondering, what are they going to show next? And it's making their eyes go, right? So it's keeping them on the content longer. So clipping those together. And it can be anything. It does not have to be related to the post itself. 10 things to ditch once you hit 35. What does the pizza have to do with that? Nothing at all. other than it's to attract people to the post, and it works. So, so pro tip, film funny things happening, film exciting things happening. You never know what you might capture on film. I have kids, so I'm trying to be super cognizant this year, especially just in when I'm filming. I don't want them always feeling like they're on camera. So a lot of times I just kind of like set one up and they don't even know it's there. And I'm just capturing things I'm doing. And it's great, super easy day. All right, third piece, your audio. So trending audio is important. Yes. I don't spend time capturing audio. A lot of people spend hours saving audio reels, and it's a real waste of your time. So what I want you to do instead in this third step of after you've, dissected what you want to do, you add the trending audio to your reel in the creation process. So when you're putting all of your reels together, you can add it right from Instagram. You can see right here on the right-hand side. So when you go into the creation platform mode, there'll be a tab for trending. Just add a trending audio. Pick something you like quickly. Takes me, oh my goodness, at 120 seconds, I don't know, to do it, and it's done. That's it. I don't spend any more time doing that. But you can see how now we're crafting, we picked the real topic, right? We created a new hook for our audience that resonated, that was in a viral type of component or structure, right? It's in the same type of topic that went viral. And then we moved along to the visual component, super important. And now we're adding on that audio piece, which is essential as well. So you need to do all these things as you're reverse engineering the post itself. And remember too, when you're researching and asking yourself, why did this go viral? And you're seeing that, it didn't have an on-screen hook and it went viral. I can guarantee you by adding that hook that's really in your brand voice, it is going to supercharge that post. It'll probably go double the views that that original posted, because that was something missing, right? A missing link from that particular viral video. But the viral content was so good itself that it worked. So that is what you can do there. Okay. Next piece. So we've done research, analyzed the breadcrumbs, dissected why it went viral, reverse engineered the topic, right? And then we are going to do this last step, which is leverage AI to hack your messaging strategy. Okay, so after you've done all those things, you take your notepad, take your template, and you've kind of written down what you want your hook to be, all the things, and your caption. I'm going to share with you my secret ChatGPT prompt that I use. I need to explain that before I put this into ChatGPT, it's very important that I feed ChatGPT information from my blueprint, from my brand blueprint, which is going to cover some of those things like target audience keywords, some of my products that I have created, some details on those, as well as other components to my messaging, my messaging story, my messaging strategy, all of it inside of this document. And so I pull out key components of that I keep as a pro tip here, right on my notepad inside of my iPhone. So anytime I'm going to go post inside of ChatGPT for it to optimize what I've already created for this post, which is going to be the hook and a couple other key things, it supercharges it. It reevaluates it. It looks at all the other stuff on the internet that's doing well, and it gives me something better. Okay, this is key. It's essential, but you've got to feed it the right information. The more information you give ChatGPT, the better it is understanding what your brand is and who it is and how it can better communicate with your target audience. I like to keep an open thread inside of ChatGPT. And so the more I talk to it, the more intuitive it becomes and the better it can help me. ChatGPT does have a limit on its information that you can put in there at some point. So this is why it's so important that I have this brand blueprint document, because anytime I start a new thread, I'm always feeding that information first inside of the thread, and it knows what my brand is. So that is key. Oh, and here's some other key things that I put inside of that blueprint to help ChatGPT along. So target audience, of course, mission, vision, values, essential. You need to know where you're headed. keywords we talked about, and then goals for your brand and IG page with links. So I like to populate my handle for Instagram as well as the goals I have for my brand. All right, here it is. So, oops, you're probably going to want to screenshot this. Can you guys see the top part of this? Probably not. I'm so sorry. That probably was not very helpful. Let me put that down here for now. I was very nervous to put a dual screen on here. I had some issues the last time I did a webinar, so which was a few years ago actually, but I got nervous, so I kept my one computer screen. So we're dealing with limited space. Okay, so go ahead and snapshot this, okay? Because you're gonna need it. All right, so this is my Millionaire Homemaker ChatGPT prompt that I used to create a viral account. So I'll read it to you. So you are a social media expert. You're gonna tell it to be an expert. A social media expert, virality strategist, and Instagram caption expert. Okay, please create a viral Instagram post for my target audience. Okay, you're gonna enter your target audience description on this Instagram account. Enter your Instagram handle with the URL. So you want to insert that information. I want to write a post about, and then you're going to include a description about that specific video. Little pro tip here, if you are going to be sharing a video that has an audio with a lot of like instructions, or if it's just like sharing something specific with a lot of audio where it's talking, I literally transcribe that for ChatGPT to have in advance so it can have more information to develop the actual post itself. So from there, provide me the following post details. On-screen hook, provide a short, emotionally charged hook that grabs attention immediately and resonates with my audience's challenges, desires, and aspiration. Remember those emotional triggers, very, very important. The hook should spark curiosity or inspiration, use language that stops the scroll, be concise and tailored to insert audience, plus enter the target audience psychographics, okay, very important, with an avatar summation. So we talked about that as well. Captions, write a highly engaging caption that includes keywords specific to my audience, list all those keywords out of there. A relatable emotional trigger addressing their fears, challenges, and goals, and a clear message of insert your mission statement. The call to action, very important, right? Have that in there too, have it develop that for you. So end the caption with a strong CTA. Sometimes I take it out, and I'm gonna explain why in a minute. And then the tone, enter the keywords of your brand voice. Okay, you develop those when you're building some of that foundational work, speaking directly to enter your target audience who struggle with, enter their challenges, and who desire to, what's their greatest goal in life. That is a lot of information. I get it. That's why you want to save this on your notepad and have it all plugged in. And then what are you doing? The only thing you're changing every single day or every single time you're going to be creating your content is this little guy right here, what the post is about. Everything else is saved. This is working smarter, not harder. All you have to do is a copy paste with a little new description. And I'll make this even easier for you. I don't even write it. I talk to ChatGPT. I type this in and then say, hey, this is a little bit what the post is about and kind of the feel and what I want it to be like. I give it a verbal description. I don't have time, you know, I got to get going. I got to pump these out. I'm doing 2 a day to reach the masses, right? So it doesn't have to be exhausting. It just has to be more efficient. It has to be streamlined, and you have to know what to feed it. That's what's so important here. Okay. All right. So why this 4-step process? Because say you decide to, you're listening to this and you're like, okay, I'm just going to go find a trending audio and I'm just going to go like use that audio. Obviously, you know, it's doing well and I'm going to reshare it. Okay. I want you to look at these 2 examples. This is my post right here. Okay. It has a trending audio on it. It was just explaining why not to raise your kids to be too obedient, right? And if you look on the left, this is the same audio. The same trending audio, 16 views, 300 views, 136. Oh, we got a 6,000. That's cool. 22, 60. You can see what's happening here. But this one went viral. Why is that? 612,000. Because all of these had no compelling on-screen hook. None. They're not hanging on for more than a second or two. They're going to continue scrolling. They don't care. A lot of these also, they did not have on-screen text. That's huge. That's a big part of the visual component. So anytime I have an audio that's going to talk about something and it has words, I take the time and I definitely make sure that there are subtitles. It really, 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 really helps your post. Promise you. It lacked compelling visuals. Sometimes people just put pictures of themselves, or they were just listening to the audio or something, and that's not fun. Nobody cares about that. So no hooks, no visuals, no captions, and no keywords in the captions. Critical. Why are we populating all of that stuff in the caption? We want to talk to the algorithm. We want that algorithm to know exactly who we are and exactly who to push our information to. And when we're asking ChatGPT to include keywords and emotional triggers, that is like supercharging. That's juice for the algorithm. It's saying, hey, baby, I know exactly who to send this to because I am telling you all the things that these people care about. And so those are keywords. Boo, boo, boo. It knows exactly who to send it to, who to put eyeballs in front of. And they just happen to be the exact customer that you want to buy your perfect product that you're going to change their life with, right? So it doesn't have to be too hard. It's actually quite simple when you kind of break it down in these steps. So this did horrible. These did horrible. This one did great because it had the on-screen hook. It had the reason to keep watching past the hook. Make sure to tell them these 9 things. Oh man, that means she has 9 things she's going to say here. Like I got to keep listening past 2 or 3. Obviously, I'm going to listen to the end. Great. And so they did. And then 18,000 people said, hey, I want to send this to my husband or wife, you know? On-screen captions, and then captions include keywords. So those are the main things, and that's the biggest difference. So if you think you can just reshare something that's done well before, that's not going to work. It won't work. You have to include these components that are supercharged with your brand voice and with the things that are meaningful for your specific audience. That's why the blueprint's so important. Okay, let's review here. Oh gosh, all right. Looks like my format got a little messed up. That's okay. All right, first step, research. So you got to research. One of the examples I forgot to mention earlier was a post that I did, the post that went like mega viral. I researched a topic about relationships. I researched relationships, and it was like dynamics between husband and wife. And it was about how with 12 hugs a day, you reach this space of personal growth. So you're going to personally grow if you give your spouse 12 hugs a day. That topic has been shared across the internet a million gazillion times, right? But there were so many of them that didn't go viral, but there were several of them that also did. And so again, I took that concept, did the research, realized it was a really good topic for my audience. And I also saw that it was a viral topic. And then I supercharged it with all those things. And that's when it reached almost 6 million views. And doing that is what really supercharged my account. And so what I want to say is by doing this research and pulling these key concepts and ideas that have already gone viral, there's already success breadcrumbs that you've researched, and you choose to use them in your content. What's going to happen is as they start to gain traction, they might not go viral right away. And remember, it doesn't have to go viral necessarily. It just has to start performing well. Your Instagram account starts to create momentum. And so all of those shares that are happening, it starts to build and build and build. And if they're sending out to more and more people day after day, I have posts that are performing since this fall. I posted one back in the end of October. I get so many shares on it every single day. And so why is that important if you think about it when you're doing this research and you know it's going to go viral? Because if that post back from October is still going viral on my page, people are sending it out every day to people. If I had plugged that with a really strong CTA, which I don't plug CTAs on all my posts because I believe that we don't need to be selling all day every day, but we need to be providing value. So sometimes it's a pure give post, like I'm purely just giving value. And I suggest for you to do the same. And I think that also helps the algorithm. I'm not sure about that, but I have strong feelings that it does. And so with a CTA on a post that goes viral, what's happening? My links are being sent out every single moment of every single day while I sleep. People are coming into my funnel every single day. They're coming into my email list every single day. And a lot of times, if you have low hanging fruit offers that are very, they're easy to sell and they're valuable, you are starting to earn at a rapid speed. And that's when it starts to build and build. So that's why this research piece is so important, because you never know what's going to go viral. But if you can predict that most likely it's going to perform well, it could help and nourish your account for months and months and months to come. I think they used to say that like content usually dies on the vine after like 24 hours. But if you reach the viral status and you have a viral page, which I'm experiencing now, you're going to reap benefits off of one post for months. It's incredible. Number two, so analyze the success breadcrumbs. So we're going to dissect why it went viral. Number three, reverse engineer it. So take that viral concept, take the breadcrumbs of why it went viral, and then layer in your brand voice over top of it. I can't stress enough, this is so important. And please don't take someone else's content and just make it yours. Don't copy it. It might work initially, but in the long run, you're not going to be developing a unique voice. And that's what over time is going to create an iconic brand for you, one that people know, one that people trust, one that people want to do business with over and over and over and over again. Okay. The fourth piece here is leverage AI to hack your messaging. As you know, this is important for your time. If you're trying to create a time freedom business, then a business that gives you time freedom, this is going to be essential to your strategy. How you use your templates to keep yourself organized, how you batch content, um, in 2 hours to do 2 weeks worth of work. I mean, this is so important. I have a full-time corporate position that I run, running communications marketing for a top-rated firm out of DC. I have a very high-paced job, I will say, but I am able to do this because I flipped the script on how I was running my business and because I incorporated these kinds of strategies into the model. Okay, so the virality strategy works only once you've clearly identified your brand story and how to communicate it. I know I've stressed that a lot throughout this webinar so far. But the one thing that I want you to take away is that people get very excited about the idea of virality. They get excited about what they're creating and what it could mean for their family. But the truth of the matter is, like 90% of brands fail because they lack a clear strategy. 90%, like that's a lot. And so why is that? Why do they not have a clear strategy? And it really comes down to these components. It comes down to not being clear on who you are and then taking all of this information and then putting it into a structure that helps you to stay consistent, helps you to stay organized, and helps you to reduce burnout. Because I think for a lot of moms, it comes down to just feeling overexhausted, overwhelmed. I know for me, I was so ready just to kind of throw in the towel several months ago. I rebranded and I was really excited. And until that moment, I could clearly see that like it could become something where what are you doing this for? So to see those results, you have to have the right cadence in which you produce content, create offerings, and automate it. So once you set it up, you forget it. Set it up and forget it. Set it and forget it. Okay. So planning and execution, I'm just going to stress that again, so important. I hope that you found this segment helpful for you. I'd love your feedback. Please drop into the chat what you thought of the actual class itself. Was it helpful for you? Did you like the tips? Does it make sense to you how to do the strategy, how to break it down? What questions do you still have? Let me know. I want to know either on my Instagram account or you can drop it in the chat here. If everything you learned tonight is what you need, then go forth and start implementing right away. I think that's the one thing I encourage you to do, is to just start implementing right away with everything that you learned tonight. Don't let it feel too overwhelming. You can do this. I truly believe that it gets to be us, and we get to create a life that is truly connected to business, to family, and it's all kind of harmoniously working together. How was the masterclass? I hope you're feeling revitalized, you're excited about how you can go create impact with your business and how you can get more eyeballs on what you're doing and not only just develop content, but develop content that reaches the masses so you can start earning. If you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I get it. We covered a lot of topics inside of the masterclass and a lot of steps. If that is you and you kind of need some more hand-holding, I get it. With that being said, I've created the Viral Brand Playbook where I have step-by-step written down what you need to do to go viral. My specific strategy, I've thrown in a lot of goodies in there in addition to the things that I've shared inside of the masterclass. But I think the beautiful thing about the playbook is that you can actually take time in your own space to sit down, look, read, process, document what you're gonna go do next, and then you can feel comfortable about taking those next steps. Honestly, if we feel overwhelmed, we end up doing nothing. So I don't want that to be you. I want you to take action immediately. And if you know this book is gonna help you do it, I invite you to get your copy. If you love the idea of the playbook, awesome, but you know that you need a little more hand-holding, I also get that too. We're doing something really special. We're gonna be launching a viral brand workshop. It's a half-day training program where we build your brand from the ground up. We're gonna cover who your target audience is, what are your niche topics and subtopics. We're gonna be going in deep on what product you should actually create with your talents and gifts and the things that you're excited about. We're gonna automate that business, okay? We're gonna look at that infrastructure. I'm gonna teach you all about funnels and how they operate, how you can get them working for you. I'm gonna actually give you a template so you can just plug and chug your information and get going on launching this business. And then the last part, which I know everyone is so excited about, the viral content strategy. So the viral content strategy that's gonna help your business actually get the eyeballs on it. So you can take your 2,500 following, like I had, to maybe 200,000 or more. I can't even believe that we're crossing that point. It means so much to me and I can't wait to share with all of you. I hope that you decide to join us. And if you do, I'm creating an exclusive offer for this workshop where we are going to be throwing in Digital Wealth Academy. Digital Wealth Academy is the very viral online course that teaches you how to create an automated online business. This is the course that I use to help me learn how to do automation. And then I started studying virality every single night after I put my kids to bed, and combining that knowledge, that automation knowledge with virality and using my virality strategy, it helped my first post as the Millionaire Homemaker to go viral. And it's only been 90 days, but the rest is history. I want to be able to share that with you. I want you to have access to what I had access to help me get going. We're starting. I can't wait for you to join us. I hope you consider it. If so, take a look and see if it's for you. Thank you so much for joining us today.